very similar type of shoes in terms of, you know, look, dimensions, but very different rides. And hey everyone, and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex, and today we are having a new battle on the channel. Those battles that you really enjoy with data, metrics, you know, all that good stuff. Today we're looking at the battle between the Nike ZoomX Invincible and the Hoka One One Clifton 8. I have a first impression review, a 50k or 100k review for this shoe, the Invincible. I'll put links here upper right hand corner. And last week I published my first impression review for the Hoka Clifton 8. Go check it out, maybe before looking at this battle. It's maybe the best way to do it. As always, we'll go first through the data, then I will give you one word to describe each shoe, or at least one word at a time. Then I will give points to each shoe, and at the end, the most interesting part for you, I think, I will give my recommendations in terms of which shoe is best for each type of runner: heavier, lighter, cadence, stride, midfoot, forefoot, heel strikers, and so on. I will let you know which one you may want to get depending on which type of runner you are. I will put chapters in the in the timeline of the video, so you can directly jump to the section that's the most relevant to you. Without no further ado, let's first look at the data. So pace and power. I tested the two shoes at slow paces for me. So this is 6 minutes per kilometer. That's around 9:30, 10 minutes a mile. Very relaxed, very easy recovery paces for me. This is how I would use these two shoes if they were in my rotation. So, you know, testing the shoes at the pace I'm actually using them. I know this is also something that some of you mentioned, that, you know, some reviewers or most reviewers on the internet are not testing the shoes at slow paces. I'm not watching all the reviews that are available online, so I'm not sure. But sometimes I will try to address this and review shoes at slower paces, keeping in mind that slow paces for me may not be slow paces for you, and for some people, the absolute number 6 minutes per kilometer may be an easy pace, an endurance pace, a marathon pace. That depends, so you have to keep that in mind as well. So 6 minutes per kilometer, steps and stride not very relevant, but 170 for each shoe. So, you know, pretty much in my ballpark, but for easy stuff, 170 is my cadence. Efficiency, so that's how efficient each shoe is. So for a given pace, it's 6 minutes per kilometer, how much energy the ride of each shoe costs. And here, first big surprise of the review, the Clifton is more efficient and costs 16 watts less. So you have to produce 16 more watts of energy to run at the same pace with the Invincible. That's not a big surprise in terms of, you know, subjective feeling, because you have all that bounciness and all that softness of the Invincible that costs you energy. And that's also why I wouldn't use this shoe past a certain mileage for longer runs, longer sessions, because it's, it's actually demanding, because it costs you more and you're less efficient with this shoe. So that's for the efficiency. Midsole and ride, let's compare the stacks of each shoe. For the Clifton, it's a 5mm drops, 29, 24 in the forefoot, and for the Invincible, 9mm, 36, 27. And that, I think, has a little impact. Well, first of all, you know, it's a higher stack here, so that adds the cushion, but that also has a little impact on the way I'm striking with both shoes, and we'll come back to that in a second. In terms of weight, the Invincible is way heavier, 321 grams in my size US 11, EU 45, against 280 for the Clifton 8. Same here, US 11, EU 45. So Invincible much heavier. The durometer scores, quite interestingly, the EVA foam of the Clifton 8 isn't that much harder compared to the PIBA-based ZoomX of the Invincible. It's harder, but it's only like 32 against 35. You have the numbers on your screen. The outsoles are in that same 68 ballpark, where pretty much all rubber outsoles are situated. So that's for the durometer, quite interesting because subjectively, I would have said that the Invincible was quite softer, maybe not like 10 points on the durometer scale, but a bit softer. Platform dimensions, so we're measuring the forefoot widest point, the midfoot widest point, and the heel widest point. And here, you know, it's not the same game. The Clifton 8 is very wide. I mean, it's the second widest shoe I measured this year, but the first one is obviously the Invincible, except in the midfoot where the Clifton is a bit wider, but that's only the platform. I'm not sure that translates in terms of fit, but yeah, forefoot and heel width, it goes to the Invincible. You have the numbers on your screen. It's like not by a hair, but by a landslide, the difference. Responsiveness, the Clifton is a bit more responsive, that makes sense. So essentially the ground contact times of the Clifton are a bit lower. That means that you know, the Invincible is a bit less responsive, makes sense. Bounciness, quite interesting. One of the words I would have used for the Invincible, we'll see if I use it in this section of the video, would have been bouncy. And in fact, the two shoes are pretty much, you know, at the same value in terms of max pronation to toe-off number. That is a proxy value for bounciness. Pretty much the same numbers. So here interesting because the numbers do not show the subjective feeling, or at least they do not correspond to the subjective feeling. Now let's look at the leg pounding. So here we're looking at the shock Gs and the braking Gs. And the Invincible is a bit less pounding on your legs, so you have lower shock Gs and braking Gs on the Invincible. This is a shoe that many people call, you know, a soft shoe, a gentle shoe for the legs, a recovery shoe. And to a certain extent, I do agree, and the numbers show it. I mean, the Clifton has good numbers in terms of shock and braking, but the Invincible seems to be less pounding for your legs. Now, in terms of motion metrics, so foot strike, I touched on this when discussing the drop. I have more of a midfoot strike and by quite a significant margin on the Invincible. I think that's due to the higher drop. And with the lower drop, 5mm on the Clifton 8, I have more of a forefoot strike. If you have the same type of striking patterns as I have, because you know people have very different, and some people are heel strikers, when paces increase they have forefoot strike, and very different types of patterns, biomechanics. If you have something similar to me, so forefoot strikers, you may experience the same type of striking in the two shoes. So more of a forefoot strike on the Clifton 8. Now pronation and pronation velocity, quite interesting because you have a bit more pronation in the Invincible, which means that you have a higher angle between the moment you touch the ground and the moment you have your max pronation angle. And I think, you know, that's something I mentioned in the final review of the Invincible on the channel. I'll put a link again here, upper right hand corner. But the pronation and the style of pronation, the drop of the arch on the Invincible may cause some issues. And I think that I myself experience some issues, not necessarily only due to the Invincible, certainly not, but that excessive type of drop is reflected in the numbers, and the Invincible indeed has a higher pronation angle. Now, quite interestingly, the Invincible has a lower velocity, so you have, you know, more angle, but the angular speed is lower on the Invincible, whereas it's a bit higher on the Clifton 8. Which again, you can look at the first impression review, but I wasn't, you know, mind blown by the stability in the heel of the Invincible. And we'll come back to that when doing the recommendations for the two shoes and stability runners. But yeah, these are the numbers. One word to describe each shoe. Let's begin with the Invincible. I would go, you know, bouncy. Okay, I say it. Yeah, it's bouncy. Whatever the numbers say, it's a bouncy shoe. It's fun, and I would say, and I already can read the comments. It's a bit dangerous. Not dangerous like, you know, it won't harm you, or at least, you know, not directly, but it's a bit dangerous because it's not exactly the shoe it says it is. And yeah, I think you have to keep in mind how you're using it and how you place it in your rotation. I wouldn't recommend have a one shoe rotation, essentially have, you know, an all-rounder with this shoe. So yeah, I would go dangerous. I don't have a better word. Dangerous is not excellent, but yeah, that's what it is. Clifton 8, I would go soft, dull, and breathable. I mean, yeah, you have to give it to Hoka. They have a nice upper on this shoe. That's a good segue for the next section of the video. The points will go section by section of the shoes, and we will attribute points to each of them. But first, if you're enjoying this video and you're not subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. Hit the subscribe button. It's a great help for the channel. If you're already subscribed, you can share the video with a running mate of yours or give it a thumbs up. That's also a great help. The points, first of all, the upper, I have to go with the Clifton. The upper and the Invincible is way too, you know, thick and traditional. Here, Hoka has something quite nice with the upper, so point for the Clifton 8. Midsole, Invincible. You know, whatever my critics may be with the stability or the points of attention that you need to have with the Invincible, the midsole is really fun, and I like ZoomX not only on the races but also on this one, so point for the Invincible. Outsole, I mean, this is too much rubber. It has a nice grip, it works well, but it retains everything you're running on, and I'll go with the Clifton on the outsole. Rides, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't a big fan of the Clifton 8 rides, so I will go Invincible. Fun ride, bouncy ride, with the caveat of, you know, paying attention to the way you're using the shoe to avoid any issues. I wouldn't say injuries or niggles, but issues or unpleasant surprises. Fit, I will go again with the Invincible. The heel wasn't working at all for me on the Clifton 8, whereas, you know, the upper is overbuilt and you have too much material. It's not necessarily breathable, so now in summertime it's not the perfect shoe, but I have a better fit, better lockdown on the Invincible. And price, Clifton. I mean, you know, there's a €40, $50 difference between the two shoes. For the use you're making of the Invincible, it's way too expensive. I'm using this shoe as a recovery easy day shoe, and €180, $180 is way too much for that purpose. So if it's an easy day shoe or, you know, endurance type of shoe for you, I would go Clifton if you're on a budget or if you don't want to spend $180 on a shoe, which I can totally understand. Which shoe is best for each type of runner? First of all, let's go with heel strikers, and I would say none of them. If you're a heel striker, I wouldn't recommend any of them. Yeah, I mean, you can live with them, and if you already bought one of these and you're enjoying them, perfect, but I wouldn't recommend them. There are better options for heel strikers on the market in that segment of shoes. Midfoot striker, most likely the Invincible, because you're taking full of the advantage of the bounciness of the cushion if you're a midfoot striker in this shoe. Forefoot, both. You would maybe experience a better, you know, rocker type of ride if you're a forefoot striker with the Clifton 8. The rocker is quite nice actually, but yeah, both can work for you if you're a forefoot striker. Heavier runners, difficult to say, but most likely Clifton. Yeah, Clifton for heavier runners. Light runners, well, you can go with both, but I wouldn't pick either of these if you're a very light runner, because the shoes are quite heavy in the segment and you have better options, most likely. You can pick them, but there are better options. And now stability runners, none of them. I mean, you know, here again, if you already bought one and you are pronating, overpronating, which again is not bad, I'm saying this time and time again, but I need to repeat it, pronating is not a bad thing, it's good, it's a protection mechanism. Overpronating can lead to issues, but pronation as such is not a bad thing. If you're pronating and you already bought one of these, you're fine, you can run with them and maybe you're already enjoying them, but I wouldn't recommend this. That's the point of this section of the video. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's battle. It was an interesting one. I mean, very similar type of shoes in terms of, you know, look, dimensions, but very different rides and actually quite, you know, quite different sensations. So interesting battle in my opinion. Let me know in the comments, did you enjoy it? If you have both shoes, let me know if you agree with the points I raised in the video. And I will see you guys in the next one. I hope it will be the Adidas Boston 10. Let's see if it drops in the meantime. But for now, enjoy your run, your ride today, or whatever else you will be doing. Go beyond your limits, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.